What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. For today's video, we're going to be checking out the Transformers Age of the Primes Voyager class Alpha Trion. Based on the original G1 cartoon, this take on the character depicts Alpha Trion as his younger self, specifically in the episode where he rebuilds Orion Pax into Optimus Prime. Fictionally, this guy is also considered to be one of the oldest living Transformers in existence, even standing alongside the original 13, which so far have had a fantastic run. Firstly, there was Megatronus, the first original Decepticon that really set the standard incredibly high, Primer and Solus Prime, which are the only figures of these two characters to ever be released. Then more recently, Onyx and Alchemist Prime, which absolutely blew my expectations, especially with Onyx having the ability to pull off his iconic Centaur mode. And I've got to be honest, guys, seeing as it really wasn't that long ago since the Legacy Alpha Trion, it got me thinking, did we really need to see this update? So, as we whack up an image of how he originally appeared in the G1 cartoon, visually he's not only looking to be incredibly close, but also a marked improvement in comparison to the previous version, which is honestly kind of surprising as I never thought an Alpha Trion could be this good. Take the head sculpt for example. This is a great throwback to the episode War Dawn, which is where the aerial bots travel back in time to uncover the origins of Optimus Prime. Proportionally, he is also looking pretty good, with the design from the neck down being a super faithful recreation of his more notable older appearance. Even the plastic feels dense, making him overall really well built, and as we spin him around to the back, and again compare him to his animated counterpart, I honestly think they did a decent job in cleaning him up. Fictionally, this guy never transformed, even though a concept does surprisingly exist for him to do so. And I've got to say, I do think it's quite cool how they've repurposed components from his vehicle mode to almost replicate his iconic cape. The only part of this guy's design which I do think maybe could have looked slightly better would have been the forearms. I'm honestly not quite sure why they couldn't have designed these almost exactly like the animated universe Optimus Prime, because then not only would have they looked much better, but he also would have had wrist articulation. But to be completely honest, despite being hesitant to the idea of an update of Alpha Trion coming so soon after the release of the Legacy version, this figure has completely exceeded my expectations. Not only does he look awesome, but the posability for a character that is pretty much an ancient advisor to Optimus Prime is just on a whole other level, making this definitely the highlight of Wave 3 and maybe just one of the better primes to so far be released. Flying through his accessories, up first is the Covenant of Primus, his quill, the Autobot insignia, these two shoulder studs, and then finally a piece of his cape. Now you might look at these and think, what significance do they have, especially with grand weapons such as the Requiem Blaster existing, and I've got to say that fictionally these might just be some of the most powerful artifacts in existence. The Book of Primus was first introduced in Transformers Beast Wars as this legendary artifact that could pretty much predict the future. There are also some that depict it as containing the entire history of Cybertron, including the original 13 Transformers, and even predating their inception. His quill is also something not to be taken lightly, as this too is a legendary Cybertronian artifact that gives Alpha Trion the ability to basically write the future, and I can totally see him using this in a Guardians of the Galaxy Yondu styled attack, with the quill being whisked around, taking out the optics of those who oppose him. The detachable insignia is yet another insanely deep cut, as this is directly based on a Season 3 episode, and is known as the Coda Remote, which is what Alpha Trion uses to deactivate the Dark Guardians to free himself and others from Quintesson slavery. Then finally, this part of his cape can be attached onto his back and doesn't need to be removed for the transformation. Although, if you want to create for an even cleaner look, can even double into an arm-mounted shield, which I imagine would do a pretty decent job in keeping him protected. So definitely, quite a few significant nods to the history of Transformers. And alongside Vector Sigma that was included with the Legacy version, I guess this makes Alpha Trion one of the most knowledgeable Cybertronians in existence. Emerging into this guy's articulation, as mentioned previously, for an Alpha Trion, he is surprisingly incredibly agile. To begin with, the head can look up, down, and can rotate left to right. The shoulders can kick forward, backwards, and completely out to the side. His biceps can spin, with the elbows being able to bend slightly past 90. His hands can open, although unfortunately cannot rotate. His torso, though, can surprisingly crunch forward and backwards, with the waist also being able to spin side to side. His hips can kick forward, backwards, and completely out to the side. His thighs can rotate, with the knees being able to bend. Then finally, the ankles can rock inward. So definitely among one of the more posable primes to be released. The only thing that really could have made this guy perfect would have been wrist articulation. But to access his full potential, let's now put him through the pose test. Firing through some robot mode comparisons and going in order from tallest to smallest, up first is Leader Class Onyx Prime, Megatronus the Fallen, the Studio Series 86 Optimus Prime, Leader Class Megatron, Commander Class Silverbolt, Voyager Class Primer, Sentinel Prime based on Transformers 1, which also has its own version of Alpha Trion releasing in the very next wave of the line, and I do wonder whether or not it'll be able to top this version. Deluxe Class Solus Prime, Alchemist Prime, Devastation Optimus Prime, then finally the 86 movie Bumblebee. Using the Book of Primes to guide our way through his transformation, even the engineering is honestly kind of impressive, seeing as in the show he never actually transformed. So for the first step, slide the head back, take the hands and fold these into the forearms, with the same applying for the second side. Spin to the back to fold out these panels, take this section and slide it down to allow this panel to fold up, until eventually it snaps into the neck. We can now take this panel and slide it forward, so that this panel can slide back. At this point, make use out of the waist joint until the back now faces the front. You'll now take the shoulders and rotate these around, with this side again doing exactly the same. Now we can take these panels and fold these forward, with the opposite side following closely behind. Spin down to the legs and rotate at the thigh, with again the same applying for the second side. Take the heel spurs and snap these into the base, to allow the front part of the foot to fold down, with this side again doing exactly the same. We can now take both halves and combine them directly down the middle, with these panels now folding out to the side and then down. What you'll now do is take the torso and fold this forward until this panel locks into place. You'll then make sure that these are completely straightened out and also locked into the front. You'll now take the shoulders and slide these down until the forearms also lock into place. Then spin to the underside and separate these panels, as these tabs are now going to slide into those slots. Then finally, with the same done for the second side, that is the transformation now fully complete. Cruising through the battlefield of Cybertron, here is Alpha Trion now fully transformed into his vehicle mode, and despite never doing so in the actual cartoon, as we whack an image of the unused design that he was supposed to turn into, he is again looking to be incredibly close. Front, side to back, this Alpha Trion is solid, and even in this mode is an improvement in comparison to the previous version, with the underside in particular being pretty impressive from a design standpoint, just as the undercarriage is minimal. The cybernetic sculpting mixed in with the amazing metallic detailing also looks sick, with even the shoulder pads being able to fully deploy as the brakes of the hovercraft. The cockpit too is able to pop open, although despite seemingly big enough for a headmaster, unfortunately is unable to actually close back up. In terms of weapon storage, his accessories can be attached onto the underside, with the book in particular integrating this seamlessly. Honestly, I just think it's really cool for the design team to actually bring this design to life, especially after nearly 40 years on the cutting room floor, and considering that it has never made an appearance, they could have quite easily cut corners, but instead gave the robot mode an equally as impressive alternate mode. Flying through some vehicle mode comparisons, up first is the Leader Class Onyx Prime, Megatronus the Fallen, the Studio Series 86 Optimus Prime, Leader Class Megatron, Voyager Class Primer, Deluxe Class Solus Prime, Alchemist Prime, Devastation Optimus Prime, then finally the 86 movie Bumblebee. So, wrapping up on this review for the Transformers Age of the Primes Voyager Class Alpha Trion. This guy is yet another incredibly solid entry into the lineup of 13, and alongside Onyx, right now might just be my favourite, which I am surprised to say, as there is no way that I thought an Alpha Trion figure was going to turn out this good. His robot mode is so close to the slightly younger take on the design, and the articulation too is pretty wild, especially his ability to crunch forward and back. Also, the amount of lore that they were able to cram into this figure is just crazy. He comes with fictionally some of the most powerful artifacts that we've seen from the line, including the Book of Primes itself, which has even been accurately detailed to match up with what was originally seen in the Beast Wars series. The detachable Coda remote is also such a deep dive into Transformers lore, and just by itself is pretty significant. Even the vehicle mode is fantastic, as it's based on a design that hasn't been seen in the 40-year history of Transformers. Honestly, it just really seems to me that with each release, these 13 Transformers in particular are just getting stronger. They started off great, and are now rounding off the year with arguably some even better entries. I would love to get your thoughts on Alpha Trion. Be sure to sound off below and let me know. As always, I thank you all so much for watching, and until my next video, I'll see you then. Transform and roll out!